So this is the euro-dollar 30-minute chart, and I'm going to show you some strong rejections and how to spot the rejection setup and how the price reacts to the rejection setup. So let's start in here with this strong rejection of higher prices. As you can see, the price was moving upwards and then it aggressively turns downward, which means that strong sellers were present there rejecting higher prices. So what you do is you draw the profile over the rejection area like this or like this. And in this case, you can see that the heaviest volumes were in here. This is the most significant volume cluster within the rejection. Right there was the reaction. But if you measure the distance, then it was only over 7 pips. So this trade would actually end up as a losing trade. So this time it didn't really work. So let's move on. Let's have a look at another strong rejection. And this time it occurred pretty soon. It was this one. This rejection of lower prices, which means that there were aggressive buyers rejecting the lower prices. So again, you use the flexible profile over the rejection area. And in this case, heaviest volumes within volume cluster were in here. So what you do, you wait for a pullback. When the price hits the level, you go long. All right, nice reaction in here. So this trade would be a winner. The next strong rejection is also very close, and it is this one. So let's use the flexible profile over the rejection. Heaviest volume cluster within this area is pretty clearly this one. So you draw a line there, you wait for a pullback. When the price hits the level, you go short. All right, so another winner there. Another strong rejection is this one. So let's use the profile over it. Heaviest volumes being in here. You wait for a pullback and you go short from there. Another nice reaction to this setup. Now here is one more, but in this case it's not that clear whether it's a strong rejection or not. It's this one. But if we were to take it, this is how the profile looks, and there is the significant volume cluster. In this case, it gets tested right after it gets formed. I probably wouldn't trade this, because when there is a rejection and then immediately the price returns to the rejection, I wouldn't trade it. What I prefer is to wait for the price to settle down, to accept the lower prices, and after that trade the rejection. So I probably wouldn't take this one. First, the rejection isn't that significant. Second, the price returned to the volume cluster too soon. So the next one is this one. This rejection of higher prices. Pretty clearly the heaviest volumes being in here. So let's draw a line there, and you wait for a pullback and you go short from there. This would be another nice winner from this volume cluster. One more thing, sometimes there is some rotation below the rejection, like in this case. You don't want to trade those volumes, because this is not really the sellers rejecting the higher prices. You really want to look only into rejection, so you only want to trade this level. All right, as you can see, the price reacted to the lower level in here. So it reacted to volumes. Price usually reacts to volumes, all right? But this is not the setup. This is not the rejection setup. The rejection setup is only from there, from the rejection area, all right? Now let's move forward. In here, there's another rejection. So let's have a look at the volumes. In this case, there's not any significant volume cluster there. No significant volumes. So you don't want to trade rejections like that. Alright? Don't trade those. You need to have significant volume cluster. If there isn't significant volume cluster, then don't take the trade. Now here is pretty strong rejection of higher prices. It is this one. So this is definitely a sign of aggressive sellers, especially as you can see that those sellers rejected higher prices and started strong selling activity. So definitely strong sellers there. So let's have a look at the profile. Let's use it only for the rejection area. And the heaviest volumes were in here. Heaviest volume peak right there. So let's have a look how the trade worked. Okay, as you can see, it worked very nicely. There was a spot on reaction and strong selling activity exactly from the level. Now what happened next is that there was sort of a rejection of lower prices, but there was probably some news. I can tell by the shape of the candle. When the body is like this and the wicks are like this, then it's usually news. Price goes upwards, downwards. This is news volatility, usually. But this rejection got tested really soon by this rejection, so I wouldn't really take this area. The next rejection is this one. Let's move the profile over the rejection like this. And let's zoom it a bit so we can see where the volumes were the heaviest. Now, if you really zoom it, then you will see that the heaviest volumes are in here. Exactly in here. As I said, we don't really want to trade those volumes inside those rotations. We only want to trade the rejection, alright? So we are not really interested in those volumes, even though they are heavier. But we are interested in volumes within the rejection. And the heaviest volume peak is in here. So you draw a line from there. Like this. And as you can see, the reaction was really spot on. Really nice one and very strong. So let's move forward, and the reaction to our level is basically another strong rejection. So let's have a look at how the volumes were distributed throughout this rejection. The heaviest volume cluster was this one, and the heaviest volumes were in here. So let's move and let's have a look how it worked. Ah, that's great. Spot on reaction to the level. Exactly in here. Alright, so that would be another winning trade. I really like this trade because it shows how the markets have good memory. As you can see, this is no coincidence. The price wouldn't react that precisely to any random level. So the markets really have very good memory. As you can see, the level got formed on 4th of January. And the reaction was 2 weeks after that. And it was spot on. That's really interesting, right? Now, there is a rejection of lower prices. This one, it's not that significant, especially if you compare it to this one. But if you compare it to candles and rejections in this area, it's not that bad, especially because of this aggressive buying candle, aggressive buying activity. So this is not that clear. I would have probably skipped this trade, but let's just have a look at how it would perform. All right, heaviest volumes being in here. Alright, so that would be another nice reaction, even though the rejection wasn't a strong one. Now, another strong rejection, stronger than this one, was this rejection, which occurred in this rotation. So let's have a look at how the volumes looked like. Alright, so the heaviest volumes in here were at this price level. So let's draw a line there. And this was the reaction to the level. Also pretty spot on, pretty nice one. By the way, there was also volume cluster in here a little bit higher. And this was the reaction to it. Also over 10 pip reaction, so this one would also be a winner. But in real trading, I would have only taken this one, the lower one, the heaviest one. Alright? Now, there really aren't any that significant rejections. So let's move forward a bit. Now there's a very nice one. This rejection of higher prices. So let's draw the profile over it. Heaviest volumes clearly in here. This is the most significant volume area in the rejection. So let's have a look at how the price reacted to it. Right there. This is the reaction. Alright, so that would be another winning trade. So now there is another rejection, not as strong as this one, but also pretty nicely visible in this rotation. So let's have a look at how it worked. Heaviest volume cluster being in here. This is the reaction to it. Alright, so that's for the rejection setup. I hope you like it. Remember, you want to be more careful with this one, you want to pick only the strong rejections. And also, I suggest you start on the euro-dollar, which is in my opinion the best market to trade this setup. Only afterwards, I suggest you move forward with this setup and try different markets. But first, I think you should try it on the euro-dollar. Alright, so that's for this video and I'll see you in the next one.